Mr. Costa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks.
Now, there are certainly stylistic differences between these three films, which you made over a decade, the first one being released in 1997, the last one in 2006. But the one thing they most certainly have in common is the locale, these slums outside of Lisbon. I was hoping you could discuss what led you to this populace and how you first came to putting their lives and experiences on camera.
It's a funny story. It's a strange story. I made a film in '94 in Africa. It's called Casa de Lava, which means House of Lava. And I shot that in Cabo Verde, which is some islands facing Senegal in the Atlantic. And this film was supposed to be, in my dreams, a remake of a Jacques Tourneur film called I Walked with a Zombie. Of course, it's not at all a remake of that film. It's a very strange film. It began as a sort of sentimental expedition to this volcano, and I was a bit lost at that time. And actually, it was during the shooting of this film that I started questioning myself and having doubts about what I wanted to do, if I wanted to do it the way I was doing it, with a big crew, with professional actors, with scripts, etc. And I remember that in the middle of that film, that shooting, I started literally boycotting my own film, myself, the producer, the crew. I got very close to the people in the village where we shot most of the film. So that came closer to some sort of documentary or something like that. And I was doing camera myself, and if I could do the sound, I would have done it myself. At the end of that shoot, the people I was closer to, the people in the village, the Cape Verdeans, gave me some messages, some letters, some gifts, tobacco and wine, so that I could bring and pass messages to their relatives here in Lisbon, in Fontainhas, actually. So that's how I got to the place. So that's how I was introduced, and I had this strange password or key to open the films I made after. So it's a very, very strange way of connecting the films, but that's the way it was. At that moment, Fontainhas, when I got there in '97, was a very dangerous place, was a very secret ghetto, a place where you would go there to buy something or sell something, and probably wouldn't have known the place if it wasn't for the Casa de Lava film.
I'm very curious to hear about what the evolution of the locale was, because you clearly saw it change over a great many years. But at the same time, you had your own creative evolution. As you said, you pared down your crew. You started using your camera began getting more formal and stationary, and you're using available light and shooting on video, for that matter, after you used the same cinematographer that Robert Bresson had used. Was there a direct correlation between how you saw this location change and how you wanted to film it and tell stories within it?
Not sure. Probably it was so well. How can I put? When I got there, like a bit lost, like that, a bit afraid or a bit shy. Let's say not very afraid, but a bit shy, because it's always a difficult moment when you try to jump into something not unknown, but actually it's very known, actually, because I was jumping into another social class. I was jumping into a cliché, let's say, but a very cruel one and a very painful, and it was like if I was going to India or the south of your country or South America or something. So there was, I confess, a lot of fascination. And I was immediately, as in Cabo Verde, as in Africa, I was immediately pleased with most of the things I saw and heard and smelled, and even if the smells were sometimes not very and the sounds a bit too loud, and the images too bright or something, except at night. But there was a fascination, and let's say aesthetic fascination. And then there was a year or something, the moment where I was just hanging around and trying to meet people, the people I gave those letters and those gifts, and I was slowly accepted. And I think they were, now I can say it, they were as fascinated by me as I was by them, because it must have been very strange, this guy alone, speaking a sort of rudimentary Creole and trying to, it was not very clear, it was not very verbalized, but I wanted all to do something there. I don't know, something, film, or be there. It's probably also I come from history studies, and that's what I did in college, so it's probably something left from that. I like research, I like to be in a place, I like field work, I like to go back, to go into the past and all those kind of things. So I think my desire was to be there, say not to live there forever, but be there, and slowly I understood that could be a sort of lab or a studio, or could be my center for work. So in that sense, I was very, very interested and fascinated by the day-by-day, the routine of that place and everything involved, how people moved, talked, walked, organized themselves, money, even kind of philosophy or politics they had for that place. And the past also, I wanted to know about the dead, how everything began, or did they end up like that? Because there's also that, when you confront yourself with a place like that, with people like that, you see a lot of suffering, you see a lot of misery, you see a lot of very, very painful things. So the moment when you start asking questions like, why are you like that? It's like that guy, I think I haven't read the book, but somebody told me about the book by a guy called Volman, an American novelist.
Yeah, William Wellman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but a friend of mine told me he had written a book where he went to, I don't know, India or